Hey y'all, Scott here. I'm in movies. You can tell by the fact you hate me now. Yep, I'm involved with the Jurassic Park films. If you look at this scene, zoom in, further, I was supposed to be there, but I was frankly too busy being where every movie star ends up. Hell.
Oh boy, I can't wait to use my new game console!
Look, I'm using it!
Pretty wild how many don't use their video game systems to play video games, but hey, I'm not one to judge. It's all about that multimedia functionality. Why did you buy an Xbox?
Why did you?
Hey, it's nice to have a single box for everything. What's the point of having a separate CD player, DVD player, game console, all that jazz, if the game console has the capabilities to be all of that and then some? And that right there is a key reason as to why the PlayStation 2 won at winning. DVD playback built in. At a time in which DVD players were pricey as hell, so why bother getting one standalone when the PS2 was cheaper and a game console? It was a complete no-brainer. This was the smartest purchase you could possibly make. Look at me, I'm being smart. If the PlayStation 2 taught me anything, it's that movies and games, they go hand in hand. Everybody loves movies, but you know what else they love?
Movies.
Movies for game systems. Video content specifically released to play on video game hardware because maybe I don't want to use my thumbs today. Hey, back in the day, this didn't make a lot of sense. We didn't have immediate access to every movie ever made, whenever and wherever we went. As a kid in the 2000s, the best case scenario for backseat entertainment was a portable DVD player, and even then, you could only have so many DVDs, man. It was like, when am I gonna watch this road trip? The road. And hey, all this took up a bunch of space and was expensive. So just imagine if I could just play movies on something like my Game Boy, ultra portable, and I wouldn't have to buy any extra hardware. That would be great.
Nah, that would be Game Boy Advance Video.
Game Boy Advance Video. Yeah, that seems right. Listen, you may scoff at the quality now, but back then, you scoffed at it in lowercase. It was still bad, but it kind of came with the territory. Like, when you first got a GBA, were you expecting to watch movies on it? Just the fact this existed was enough to satisfy me as a kid.
What did you have when you were a child? I had Game Boy Advance Video. No standards.
I mean, I'd take anything after this. Video now. The way to experience video content on the go in 2003. Did I say 2003? I meant hell. Yeah, I had one of these. That's probably why Game Boy Advance Video was introduced in the first place. To compete with this. Didn't take much. If I hadn't seen any of these TV show episodes prior to this, I genuinely would have no idea what's on screen right now. Black and white, pixelated as all hell, tiny ass display, discs would oftentimes include just one 22-minute episode, and speaking of which, discs! You use your portable media player like it's some kind of portable media player, and the spinning disc here is gonna get jostled and skip or stutter or flat out just tell you to get a damn Game Boy. 1 year later, in 2004, Game Boy Advance video cartridges hit the scene in boxes that were quite a good bit different from your typical GBA packaging. Hell, the game packs themselves are a unique color too. Definitely, so then people knew damn well these weren't your average playable video games. These were this, bitch. At 20 bucks a pop, you normally get about an hour's worth of content, most of which were TV shows. We got series from Nickelodeon, Disney Channel, Cartoon Network, pretty much anything a kid watched in the mid-2000s. I personally owned a handful of the Nick shows here, SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, Jimmy Neutron, even a variety pack containing episodes from 3 different series. It gave me such a nice assortment of visuals to squint my eyes at. Yeah, hey, this was leagues better than video now. Getting shot in the head is better than lethal injection. Listen, I have a soft spot for something like VHS, you know? I've got this old school TV here, and sometimes when I'm feeling a little quirky, I'll pop in an old tape. It's nothing but a fun nostalgia trip to take every now and then. So believe me when I say I never want to use this ever again. And I like crap like this. But hey, we gotta keep in mind, in 2004, for most kids, if you wanted episodes of SpongeBob on the go, it was genuinely this or nothing. Or nothing. Hell, iPods couldn't play video until 2005. Your only other feasible option was a portable DVD player, but this was way cheaper and way more portable. I remember bringing these into restaurants and watching them throughout my meal
What the hell is wrong with you?
yesterday. And on road trips, these, alongside some actual Game Boy Advance games, definitely came in handy. An hour of content in full color and no disc spinning leading to skipping and stuttering meant look at me go. Yeah, the video and audio quality is crunchy as hell, but at the time, I mean, it could get a kid by in the year it was released. I knew it wasn't good, but it wasn't not good enough. So wasn't not good enough, I wanted to go through with a particular scheme. The Game Boy player for the GameCube plays all Game Boy games on the television. So, feed the GameCube through a VCR, pop in a blank VHS tape, insert a GBA video cartridge, record, and profit. That was so embarrassing. Yes, to stop customers from making VHS copies of their GBA video cartridges, Game Boy player support is blocked. Damn, they meant business. I mean, nothing was stopping you from plugging a VCR into another VCR and making copies of any VHS or DVD you owned in far better quality. But hey, they could block the Game Boy player, so they did block the Game Boy player. If they didn't, it would look like this. Think about what we could have had.
This looks like shit.
At the end of the day, Game Boy Advance Video did its job and was the stepping stone in my portable video career towards a portable DVD player and then eventually an iPod Nano. But I wish I spent a bit more time with it. I mean, they had a wide selection of titles to pick from. More than just shows from the big three kids channels. Dragon Ball GT, Ninja Turtles, Pokémon. Hell, they actually had a couple of movies released. Shrek 2. Shrek and Shrek 2. And why not? Throw in Shark Tale as well. Damn, look at that lineup. These combo packs are pretty impressive. I mean, most GBA video carts are less than an hour in length. The single movies are a full 90 minutes, but these contain 3 hours of content. Now, how do they fit that much video on one of these? Considering the standard cartridges already featured video that's compressed to hell and back. Easy. They make it look 10 times fucking worse. Yeah, compare Shrek on the single cartridge to Shrek on the combo. I will admit, it's impressive they were able to fit 2 full movies in here, but at what cost?
This cost!
Doesn't even matter, because by 2005, this was old news, as Sony released their PlayStation Portable with numerous key selling points. The biggest being, it's a PlayStation 2 to go. Or at least it seemed like it. And what did you do with your PS2? You played video games and you played movies. If this was truly gonna be a portable PlayStation 2, it had to do exactly this. Oh my god! Man, I mean, the PSP already used proprietary mini DVD-like discs for the games. You release movies on them too, and wow! It's a portable DVD player. It can fit in your pocket, yet it has such massive amounts of home console type energy. It was genuinely so cool back in the day. Like, this was the first time a bunch of this sort of stuff was readily offered on a handheld device that didn't require a constant power source or TV. The PSP just felt magical. Like, this was the handheld I always wanted my Game Boy to be. I wanted my home console, but on the go. And the PSP was that. Except when it wasn't. See, the PlayStation Portable was damn cool and did live up to its promises. But it also fell short in a few key areas that made it hard to stick with. Like, you only had one analog stick, making this home console to go kinda cruddy for some home console games. And the PSP's disc format just kinda overcomplicated everything. I mean, Jesus. But using discs allowed PSP titles to reach larger file sizes than we've ever seen before on a handheld. The UMDs could store up to nearly 2 gigabytes of data, which not only meant bigger games, but high-quality video content as well. No longer did we have to deal with,
What the heck? Is that a shape?
now these look on par with what you'd get on standard DVDs, and compared to the lineup of just a handful of family-friendly shows and movies on GBA Video, now we have
Oh my god.
UMD Video for PSP. This wasn't a cute little side thing or whatever. No, Sony was aiming for this to be one of the next big formats. So much content released here. Some of the biggest movies, both old and new at the time. TV shows and music videos and... With all this support and the freedom to take your movies wherever you go, how could UMD Video for PSP not catch on? No, wait. UMD movies were roughly the same price as standard DVD movies, which you could play on any DVD player. You could easily rip and copy them to your computer, and they always had better visual and audio quality with more content included. These discs could hold a lot by the standards of handheld game consoles at the time, but still paled in comparison to DVDs. UMDs pretty much only ever just had the base film on them, nothing more. TV show releases were often cut down from the DVDs they were based on too. It isn't SpongeBob's complete first season, it's the first season, volume 1, with no bonus features. The price you paid for portability. Literally! UMD video was fine for what it was, but it was always gonna be a supplemental video format at best. I bet Sony banked on UMD becoming the standard for portable devices everywhere. I mean, the name stands for Universal Media Disc. But man, the iPod models that were releasing at the time were starting to play video. They began offering digital movies and TV shows on iTunes. Modern smartphones were about to blow up onto the scene. The future of portable movies was obviously going digital. But if you just had to go physical with it, like, yeah, I can't fit this in my pockets, but I can damn well try. All these options just made more sense. This wasn't practical. Even the most die-hard PSP fans, like, what, were you really going to buy your entire movie collection in UMDs? Maybe a few flicks here and there, but even then, the handheld had functionality baked in, allowing you to transfer video files to it from a PC. You could just rip your DVDs and copy them onto here. The PSP was simultaneously stuck in the past and way ahead of its time, which makes these releases that much more bizarre. Like, they went so damn hard with these. GBA Video kept things pretty lean, you know? It was directed entirely at children, so they did a few dozen releases and called it a day. There are over 1,700 UMD video titles. Name any franchise from the mid-2000s and prior. There's a damn good chance at least one of its entries made it to UMD. Makes it quirky as hell to explore this library. I mean, Daddy Day Camp, the last piece of the puzzle. My road trip playlist is complete. Rummaging through a collection of these brings me back to simpler times. What movies you'd see in the stores during this era. Now, some of these I owned on DVD, so it's pretty cool to see the same releases, but on a different format. However, while there's a huge variety of content on offer here, I'd say the most prevalent genre throughout the UMD library would be comedies aimed at 20-somethings. The PSP excelled in two areas: Tactics Ogre and Adam Sandler. The fact that the only appearance of some video game franchises on the PSP was in the form of their film adaptations, and how porn released on it, made for a varied library, that's for sure. But such a large library of titles made the low sales sting that much more. By early 2006, retailers and film distributors were starting to give up on the format. Seriously, many were betting on this being the next big thing. Eventually, Sony tried giving them away in bundles, offering TV out cables for the PSP so you could watch them on the big screen at home. But at the end of the day, UMD video just made no practical sense. They were more expensive, had less content than DVDs, only worked on the PSP, and even then you could just transfer video files to it for free. But I will admit, these physical releases really helped sell the PSP as this miniaturized entertainment center to go. Like, oh wow, I can do anything portably. Anything. Thankfully, if one failed media format for game consoles in the mid-2000s wasn't enough for you, what the hell is your problem? Remember HD DVD?
Yeah. Oh, no, wait, that was the shit I took this morning.
Back in 2006, we had a bit of a battle as to what would become the true high-definition successor to DVDs. Sony's Blu-ray format or Toshiba's HD DVD? This was lame as hell. Blu-ray was higher quality with larger capacity discs, but HD DVD was cheaper with better menus. But man, I don't care about format wars when it comes to movies. I just want to watch the fucking ant bully. This thing got messy. All the different film studios were committing to either Blu-ray, HD, or both, and I feel it just made it harder for people to actually move on from DVDs. I mean, why bother? Different studios were releasing on different formats. The prices for everything were absurd. And in 2006, most people didn't have HD TVs yet, so the quality difference wouldn't have been all too noticeable. But hey, it was just something that needed to happen to move on from DVD. So it was all worth it in the end, right? Look at this. Man, I can DoorDash DVDs. Blu-ray may have won the battle, but I think DVDs won the war. So where did that leave HD DVD? In the dump. The PlayStation 3 was set to launch with a Blu-ray drive baked in. So to compete, Microsoft sided with HD DVD and offered this, the Xbox 360 HD DVD player for a cool 200 bones. I mean, this made some sense. An external drive like this was never gonna light the world on fire. You can't tell me this was gonna be a legitimate competitor towards the PS3's built-in Blu-ray support. You need that HD DVD player built into the Xbox 360 for it to be worth a damn. But that would have been a terrible idea. It's HD DVD. Having that built in is like swallowing leprosy compared to just holding its hand. So offering this as an option, I mean, hey, thanks. This unit does add some nice functionality to the console. Some more USB ports, it has a small amount of storage available you can save some game files to. A lot of solid additions to your Xbox 360. None of which involves playing HD DVDs. Alright, let's be fair here. I own way too many of these things to claim I'm better than them. Not as cool as UMD movies, primarily because these are just obsolete Blu-ray wannabes. Slightly worse quality, and like, if I'm gonna ogle an outdated video format, it better damn well look and sound the part. But these still bring me back to this era of video releases. I did own Shrek the Third on DVD. Okay, come on, hurry up, feel bad for me. So the HD DVD version is kinda cool to see. But other than that, the library doesn't cover a lot of what I was watching back in 2007. Man, I was one lame-ass 10-year-old, huh? Most of the movies I was interested in were only released on Blu-ray. Disney, 20th Century Fox, and Sony Pictures were committed to the format. Universal and Paramount went in on HD DVD, and Warner Brothers catered to both until realizing this war is stupid. They can just end the whole damn thing by siding with Blu-ray. And almost instantly after they did that, a 2-year-long battle with many picking HD DVD as their format of choice, spending hundreds to thousands on players and new releases, all for it to come crumbling down within a span of a couple of days. And all these years later, the Xbox 360 HD DVD player is probably the largest impact HD DVD made on society. Probably. Microsoft discontinued this pretty quickly after the announcement, but I don't think they cared all too much at this point. Like, sure, it would have been nice if it worked out, but I understand. I too don't give a fuck. But while the Xbox 360 lost the HD format war, it was actually ahead of the curve in something that was gonna be a whole lot bigger. Streaming. Netflix for Xbox 360 because there's no HD DVD for GNOME alone. This was the first console Netflix was available on, and Microsoft made damn sure to make the most of it. For a while there, the Xbox 360 was the only console you could simply download the Netflix app on. It was a part of an exclusivity agreement between the two, ensuring you couldn't instantly stream the service via an app on any other game platform. But they never specified you couldn't stream it on a disc! Netflix for Wii and PlayStation 3. And PlayStation 2. What the hell happened here? Well, this disc only released in Brazil back in 2011. You see, due to their heavy import tax on video games and systems, most consumers were generally a couple console generations behind, as the new stuff was... Alright, crack out Mr. Balls. So this made more sense than you think. More sense doesn't mean a lot. The Wii and PS3 discs were only necessary for a few months, as by October of 2010, you could just simply download a Netflix app, which makes these Netflix discs worthless. No fucking way! I definitely dabbled in the Wii app back in the day, which was actually my introduction to Netflix as a whole. It was pretty limited, like there was no search functionality, which, my god. Here's a Google app for the Wii. You can't search for anything, but here's just a bunch of random bullshit on the site. But hey, the limitations almost made it easier to appreciate the fact this existed at all. Like, yeah, it ain't great, but it's Netflix on the Wii, who cares? This nearly made up for the fact the system couldn't play DVD movies, and these just rubbed it in. Warner Brothers attempted to sell these combo packs for the 360, PS3, and Wii, featuring a game and corresponding movie. Mortal Kombat vs. DC in the Mortal Kombat film, Lego Harry Potter in the first Harry Potter, Fear 3, and Orphan. Well, damn, why did they stop there? The combo packs on Wii obviously skewed a bit younger, so not everything made the cut. But that's not the biggest problem here. The Wii can't play DVDs. This is goofy. Could do bundles with anything at that point. They'd be just as useful to a Wii owner. Let's be fair though, in 2010, if you had a Wii, you most likely also had a DVD player. And if for some reason you didn't, you didn't. You had a DVD player, you liar. So I don't think these are the most out there releases. You play your Scooby-Doo, then you can sit there for 90 minutes thinking about what you just did. Still, would have been great if we could have done that on the Wii itself. I mean, Nintendo originally planned on releasing a small internal attachment for the console to play DVD movies. Small internal attachment. What? we're sticking something in here? Well, outside of the video streaming apps, if we're looking to watch some content on our Wiis, our best bet's gonna be games with this kind of stuff baked onto the disc. So, for example, Kirby's Dream Collection has 3 episodes of Kirby Right Back At You available to watch, and we can probably piece together a coherent story with all the movie clips featured in Twilight Seen It.
No, I wanted to ask you, if down on the Quileute Res, we're all going tomorrow.
That's Twilight for you.
This game's release on DS is far more impressive though. Like, damn. Twilight movie clips on the go! It doesn't get much better than this. I have a giant soft spot for full motion video and DS games, man. I mean, I remember getting Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2, seeing these CGI cutscenes and just being blown away. This ain't Game Boy Advance video anymore, buddy. This is marginally better. They really like to flaunt the FMV capabilities of the DS, especially early on in its life. Hell, at E3 2005, they gave away DS cartridges with a Twilight Princess trailer on them. Here's my copy. Wait, that's a check for $12,000.
Same thing.
Yeah, why the hell would I pay for this? Especially when the ROM for it is available online for free. I can just emulate it and enjoy the trailer that way. Or watch it on YouTube in full quality, but that isn't quirky! But listen, if we're talking actual movies, we're gonna have to bump it up a generation to the Nintendo 3DS with a glasses-free 3D display during an era in which the entertainment industry was desperately trying to sell everybody on 3D movies and TVs. It obviously made sense to offer 3D films on the handheld.
It sure did.
I envisioned Nintendo pulling a PSP and putting out physical movie releases for the 3DS. I mean, come on. With this, there was an actual damn reason to do it. Can watch your movies in 3D without glasses portably. This had the potential to make the 3DS an essential video player. I mean, at E3 2010, Nintendo showcased full 3D movie trailers for 3 family flicks, setting the stage for the eventual 3DS release of The Owls of Ga'Hoole. No! 3D video content was a pretty big focus on the 3DS for a bit there, but it was almost always in the form of 3D game trailers or quick little bite-sized short films on the Nintendo Video app. However, over in Japan, a handful of full 3D movies actually got released on the Nintendo eShop for like $30 a pop, and damn, look what you got for that price point. A play button. Listen, it is cool that the 3DS got some movie releases like this, but these films started appearing like 3 to 4 years after the handheld launched. At this point, who the hell was buying these? At that price, no less, with no bonus features. Hell, not even a scene selection, and watching them on a 240p screen. Sure, they're in 3D, but oh, look, this is too, so I guess it's worth it. I was bummed that we never got anything like this outside of Japan, though. Netflix and Hulu for 3DS didn't offer 3D movies, so like, is it too much to ask for the glasses-free 3D device to play this kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Tekken 3D Prime Edition. Mostly a 3DS version of Tekken 6, that's all fine and good, but it's severely lacking in the Being the Tekken Blood Vengeance 3D movie department, which is Avoid Tekken Blood Vengeance 3D fills perfectly. I don't know, man. I mean, sure, they didn't have to include this, but like, look at this. Wow, they didn't have to include that either. I just always found video playback on the 3DS to be tolerable yet underwhelming at best. This tiny-ass low-res display, sure the 3D works, but we can't control the intensity of it here. It's either on or it's off. Just overall added to the disappointment of 3D movies on 3DS as a whole. As far as Tekken's concerned, if you're just dying to experience Tekken Blood Vengeance on a game console, the best option is right here. Tekken Hybrid on PlayStation 3. That's right, a movie on PlayStation 3. What's next? The letter D in dog? Yeah, even when playing any and all Blu-rays and DVDs was one of the main selling points of the PS3, some games still came with movies on the disc, like Top Gun Wingman Edition and Days of Thunder NASCAR Edition, because holy f***, they needed it. This Phineas and Ferb game includes a handful of episodes, so does Deadliest Warrior Ancient Combat. I never knew the best value in gaming had a face. It's a cool bonus meant to showcase just how much junk you can cram on a PlayStation 3 disc, or to make up for shit games. But do these count? Blu-ray movies with PS3 games baked onto them. Well, to be fair, they're demos, but still, It gives me one more reason to pop in my Zookeeper Blu-ray, which it's unnecessary, but hey, I'll take it. But this wasn't a new concept. Here we have Hulk on DVD, which has a demo for the Xbox game on it. Same thing for Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, which, hey, these were demos that correlated with the film. That's more than the PS3 Blu-rays can say. What the hell does God of War 3 have to do with District 9? The letter D? Well, listen, in the end, I can't complain. Was I expecting to get a taste of Ratchet & Clank All for One when I bought Zookeeper on Blu-ray? No, I was just expecting everything else, so this is the cherry on top. They were ruthless trying to get us to buy movies for our game consoles. But why do that when we could just buy movies for our game consoles? Who does this? Buying digital movies on the Xbox and PlayStation Store. Like, what are we doing here? This just feels like we're flushing money down the toilet. Literally! Sony discontinued these purchases in 2021 since nobody was buying movies on PlayStation Network. Of course, here's our good friend, the weird coming in to give his 2 cents.
I bought movies on PlayStation Network.
Terrific. Nobody bought movies on PlayStation Network. And even if they did, Sony doesn't give a damn. They started to delete certain purchased titles from user libraries because some licenses expired. That'll teach you for buying Mythbusters on PS4. You can still buy video content on the Xbox store, but if this is anything to go by, run. Even if this console is the center of your entertainment world and you just need to buy a quick flick to watch, why wouldn't you just go through Amazon Video or Apple TV or YouTube Movies? I just find those services to be far easier and more reliable to buy video content on, to then watch on any device I'd want. You can do that with Xbox, but only if the title is a part of the Movies Anywhere program, and not all of them are, and that is enough for me to write this off entirely. Like, you can just download all these other video apps on Xbox, which have the exact same movies available to purchase. Why even bother with this? Doesn't help, you can just flat out play Blu-rays here, but on Xbox you have to download a Blu-ray player app. What? Thank God for physical media. I don't have to depend on internet downloads. Is nothing sacred? Just a weird barrier to entry, like the original Xbox, forcing you to purchase the DVD remote accessory to play DVDs. Because why the hell would you be able to use the controller? Why the hell were there TV shows exclusive to PlayStation Network as if it were a television channel? I don't know. This is genuinely a giant rabbit hole. It's a crater at this point. There's so many examples of video content and video game consoles going hand in hand, like how FMV games took over the industry for a few years there in the 90s. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers on Sega CD is literally just some episodes from the show with button prompts popping up. Damn, if this was called Dog Shit the Game, it would be so immersive. This is one of the saddest excuses for a video game. At least with other FMV titles, the video portion was created with gameplay in mind, as limited as it may have been, like with Dragon's Lair. The whole gimmick of that game was that it's a movie, you just hit the right buttons at the right time. But Dragon's Lair, released in 1983, seeing a game that looks like this in the arcades was incredible. Completely original Disney movie quality animation that was crafted exclusively to be a video game. Watching a f***ed-looking Power Rangers episode 10 years later where I have to push left sometimes. I'll take Dragon's Lair on Game Boy Color. The Street Fighter II animated movie was actually converted into one of these FMV games for the PS1 in Japan, so how about that? We have Street Fighter the movie, the game, and Street Fighter the movie, the game, the movie. The more I dwell on this topic, the farther removed from society I feel. Like, this just doesn't end. I mean, we have the Play-Yan for Game Boy Advance, where we can view our own MP4 files on the handheld. The Philips CDI could play video CDs, which were the precursor to DVDs. The Laser Active was a Laserdisc player with module add-ons for Sega Genesis and TurboGrafx titles, in addition to a library of its very own games. U-Star 2 for Xbox 360?
Madness. This is Sparta!
At this point, going any further would ensure my resignation from humanity. So f*** it! Let's seal the deal!
This is a DVD player with NUON functionality.
I know what that is.
Thanks, weird f***. You know how these game consoles have a DVD player built in? Like, DVD playback ain't this thing's MO, but it's a nice extra feature. Well, this is a DVD player with a game console built in. Like, video games ain't this thing's MO, but it's a nice extra feature. In the early 2000s, if your DVD player had this logo on it, that meant it was compatible with NUON enhanced DVDs. All 3 of them.
Just kidding, there wasn't that few. There were 4.
So playing these in a NUON player enables some exclusive bonus content. Or at least it should. Dr. Dolittle 2 wasn't loading the NUON features. But Planet of the Apes was, and I mean, I guess NUON does bring more interactivity. Like, this is more functionality than I'm used to with a normal DVD, but it ain't mind-blowing, and the features themselves as selling points aren't compelling at all. They're just trying to validate the NUON without having to create any new content of substance or value. Viddies, a NUON exclusive feature. It selects scenes from the movie with notes popping up. What, you don't have a NUON? You gotta get a NUON! I will say though, this DVD player is the most premium feeling DVD player I've ever used. I mean, it beeps and everything. Really showcases how these NUON players were supposed to be the cream of the crop, and hey, I'd say they were. When it came to goddamn anything but the NUON stuff, like, my god, who the hell cares? Oh, nice, that answers my question. Nobody. Yes, video games exclusive to NUON DVD players. I know this is less movies for game consoles and more games for DVD players, but it's the NUON. I'm not sure how organically I could bring any of this up elsewhere.
My uncle just died.
I've got a handful of NUON games here, the first one being Ballistic. Yup. We've all played a game like this. It's a solid time, but solid enough to warrant putting the disc in. I mean, it's all the way over there. This type of game thrives as a downloadable or something. Just you can pop in, pop out. It's fun for 5 minutes. So I don't want to spend that time waiting for it to boot up. And my lord, the remote control has such absurd input delay. It's nearly unplayable, which is where the NUON game controllers come in. Damn it! Well, if you don't want to blow hundreds on playing NUON games, consider a new hobby. Or you can get this aftermarket adapter to use a Nintendo 64 controller, which I prefer. I mean, the N64 controller is definitely way better than this anyways, and I can't open this up. It's a piece of gaming history, which you can make that argument about anything. I can't open this up. It's a piece of gaming history. Tempest 3000, part of the Tempest series by Atari and sequel to the Atari Jaguar game. You know, we ended up getting a Tempest 4000 in 2018, so it's pretty wild that they still consider this NUON exclusive to be a vital entry. You're not a true Tempest fan unless you own a NUON.
Just ruined this guy's whole fucking day.
Well, in my opinion, you ain't missing out on much with Tempest 3000. It's fine, but I don't really get a lot from this that I don't already get from Tempest 2000 or 4000. And like Ballistic, it's just not a game I'm playing for more than 5 minutes, so hopefully we can shake things up with Space Invaders XL.
I can't do it.
My lord, most of these NUON releases aren't bad, but they just aren't anything. So tell me, would you pick the DVD player with like 5 games available for it, or the game console with thousands of games that can play any DVD you throw at it? That's what I thought.
And with that, I just won the award for You Never Appeared in the Jurassic Park films and talked about Game Boy Advance video, UMD video, HD DVDs, Netflix for PS2, and the NUON for 33 minutes straight. Oh, this isn't an award. It's a noise complaint.